monthly board meeting is now in session. I see that Director Bedortha is here and I am present, so we have quorum. So first thing on our agenda is the approval of the meeting minutes from September. I'm sure somewhere. Oh, they're in my folder. So if no one has any additions or changes to the meeting minutes from September, I move that they be approved as done.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Number 2 on our consent agenda is the approval of the bills. If nobody has any changes, objections, I move that we approve the bills for September.
I'll make a motion we approve September bills.
Okay, I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. So we go to the financial report next. Ms. Shara.
So, everything was good. The income looked down a bit. There weren't any like current year taxes coming in. I think it's because we're getting close to November. So the stuff that's coming in now is just like the prior year older payments for property tax. And then of course they have, when they sell liners, we have that income coming in, and then the money they make on headstones and all of that.
Okay.
As far as, everything looked in order. Looking at the actual performance budget, everything, there's nothing that's like large, other than, of course, you'll notice the legal fees, that we might have to maybe amend the budget possibly to increase something for that.
Okay.
But other than that, everything looked good. Payroll, of course, is still down.
It would be.
Yeah, let's see. And of course, again, bottom line looks negative, but again, all of the bulk of the money is gonna come in after November 15th.
So the unfortunate savings in employees being gone, is it enough to cover the legal fees if we swap in things in the budgets? Is there a savings in
I can look and see if there would be
comparison?
enough. Yeah.
Because we won't be going back to make that up anyway, so just an idea.
Right, okay.
And then something we haven't gotten lately, which we could put on the list for next time, is an aging report.
Okay, yeah, that I'll work with Craig on to bring.
Okay.
And the other question is possibly making a policy for how much money you would like to maintain in the checking. So when it goes below a certain point, when we pay bills monthly typically, we would transfer that set amount from the savings into the checking to cover it without it always having to be voted on, or just a standard, like this is what we want in the account.
So can you come up with a monthly average that we would need to have at maybe the first of the month? We need something to base on how much we want to keep in
the last year it's been we did 20,000 a month. Not some months when more money came in, it wasn't needed, but when the big check from the county comes in, that goes right into savings.
Okay.
And then we don't keep anything in the regular checking other than to transfer money over to cover bills. And in theory, previously the board had wanted it to stay at 20,000 was the number.
And are you finding that not enough?
No, it's fine. It's just never been in policy.
Okay, I got you.
Trying to think whether we could do that by simple motion or whether, I think we probably want a resolution on that next month.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's in writing.
Yeah.
you'll come up with the.
Well, it would be in writing if it was a motion, but it's still, I think it's probably resolution material as a policy as opposed to just a motion in this case. So,
Okay.
I just need to know the number. You guys probably ought to discuss the right threshold.
Right.
So we're gonna be having more employees, obviously, as we go by. Would you like to see 25,000 in there? Would you like to see
When we had full employees, the 20,000 was still okay.
okay, then we can just do a resolution for 20,000, starting the first of each month,
Okay.
draw from savings.
Okay.
Okay, and any balance over needs to go to savings, or any, at the end of the month, if we have 20,000 over, it needs to go to savings or something maybe.
Okay.
So it's a two-way.
Yeah, and typically once I pay, all these get paid,
Yep.
is when it's drops below, and that's when I transfer over. So, yeah, no problem.
Okay, so you wanna give a running balance of 20,000.
Yes.
I got you. So ignore the first of the month, we just need a running balance of 20,000.
Works for me.
And do you want to just do that so it's a minimum balance of 20, or do you want to add that, skim the cream and move it into savings?
Yeah.
I think we should, because I mean, that's, on another board, that's what we found. I kept too much in the checking account, so they needed a resolution to get it out of the checking account and be able to
I would say
go to
by
savings.
how much? Because say he does a deposit for 8,000 on like the 3rd, but on the 8th I cut the checks for 25,000, and so I'm moving it back and forth quite a bit, possibly.
Yeah. Then we won't worry about the top side. We'll just
Okay.
make sure you have 20,000 in your account. We'll-
Okay.
If it becomes an issue, we can change it later.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like it.
I think I got what I need on that.
Okay. Anything else from financial?
No.
All right. Then we'll move to operations.
Alright. So, since the September 10th meeting, done nine burials. 5 were full. 4 at Juniper Haven, 1 at Palbutte. And then 4 ash burials, and 3 were at Juniper Haven, 1 at Palbutte. Irrigation, October 7th marked the end of the 2024 irrigation season, so both Juniper Haven and Palbutte pumps and pump houses will be winterized, closed down, winterized for the year next week. Beaver Creek, which is Paulina, was winterized and closed earlier today. I was up there this morning.
Good, 'cause it was on yesterday.
Yeah, yeah. And the elk did a number on the fence in there, in the last few days. But yeah, so we mowed up there this morning, and I shut everything down, drained the lines, turned all the power off. So mowing has been done at both Juniper Haven and Beaver Creek. So the season is pretty much done. I'll probably go over to Palbutte this week just to make sure and mow one last time. Probably because it's just been real warm the last few weeks. So so we're turning focus to leaves. So instead of mowing, it's vacuuming and blowing leaves all around.
This season.
Yep, and we already got a ton of leaves falling right now, which is good because I don't remember it being like that last year. The lower is just I vacuumed yesterday and it don't look like I vacuumed at all today. So yeah, they're dropping like flies. So improvements. The focus for me still kind of the same as last month. I'm working on getting prices for having services with restrooms. Possibly permanent restrooms at Palbutte, and looking at the expansion because we need more space and more spaces at Palbutte, and so that's going to consist of mainly just man hours and then the equipment use, just cleaning up areas. We got several years of compiling leaves and everything in areas, so we're gonna have to burn and whatnot. So it's not really a overhead money-wise deal. It's more just man hours and time. But in turn, I didn't put it on here because I did this last night. But I noticed today at Paulina, the elk have done a number on the fence. The front fence is looking pretty pretty haggard anyway. It doesn't look very presentable, so I'm gonna look at different cost-effective ways or different types of fencing that we can do across the front to make it look more appealing too.
You might reach out to ODFW and see if they would be willing to help us on keeping the elk out of there.
Well, no. Some of the customers might like elk on top of it.
I mean,
Problem is they go through the fence and then the cows get in there.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, and they, one side's pretty folded down. The front is just, I think it's just wear and tear and just the quality of what they use to fence off the front.
Right.
So I'm gonna come up with some different ideas on like hog panels possibly with full like railing around it. Just make it look presentable, kind of make it look like the ranch gates up there in that area.
Okay.
Just to see what the costs might be. And then the other thing, my focus is gonna be all winter this year at Juniper Haven is the trees and the hazards that are floating around in the trees. We've spent in the last couple of years, I know we've spent a lot of money on tree service. I would rather do it more in-house and rent a lift, because the cost of one tree being removed, I can get like a Zoom boom for a week and cut trees and cut the hazards at 40 feet. Like, I think the arms reach out like 40 feet, so. And we got a lot of dead trees that still need to come down at Juniper Haven, so.
You can do that without damaging any of the
Oh
headstones.
yeah, oh yeah. Most of it's like on the back row, there to the hayfield, so there's nothing really to damage. Anything that's gonna possibly cause problems, it's, I'll make sure to leave that for the professionals, so.
And there's no restrictions on you being of that height or printing those trees.
I would guess just OSHA stuff, which is a harness. Just make sure. I would make sure to wear a hard hat.
So as long as you're aware, that's
Yeah,
all
oh,
I
yeah.
care about, yeah, okay.
That's all I got.
Old business, obviously the first thing on the agenda is the manager position, which I will turn over to Steve.
All right.
You wanna handle that part?
So the district held an executive session earlier today to conduct interviews for the general manager position and used a objective scoring system to rank the various candidates. The rankings resulted in a clear selection. And so the next step will be to continue to engage with Special Districts Association and to provide an offer letter to the leading candidate. And provided that candidate accepts and terms are reached, then the decline letters will be sent out subsequently to all the other applicants. So successful, good pool of candidates and a successful process.
The next thing on our old business is the administrative assistant position. Craig, you and Cher were gonna kind of get together and maybe see what we could do there.
I'm failing in that department, only because I've been so slammed.
With everything else.
Yeah, it's hard for me to even get away from the cemetery to go check the mail and to get to the bills and stuff to down there. So I will make time.
Okay.
Is there a slower time coming up?
I mean, yes and no. It all depends on how many people are, dying to get into that place. So.
Bad pun.
No, but it all depends on services and then, but I'll make time to get down there. It's just, we need like 30 minutes probably to sit down. I need to go down there and get some training on a couple things anyway, so we'll hammer that out tonight before we leave.
awesome.
Deal?
Perfect.
All right.
And then groundskeeping assistant. Did you talk to your friend?
Yeah, so he's been in helping.
Okay.
And he's been in there, and things are going good with the absence of Dave, so it's been good. I'm using him, this week's been pretty crazy, so I use him a little bit more this week than I did the previous, but I'm working it out just because I had two services this week, and then we had holes that had to be dug, and so I'm mainly using him when I absolutely need him. So I've got to have somebody there for either safety reasons or whatnot.
So you guys 1099ing him as an independent,
Employee.
just as an employee?
Yes.
Okay, so he's done all his I-9 and
Correct.
other stuff? Okay.
Yeah, I think we said 25 hours a week, not to exceed, and to be a payroll
Yeah.
position, I think what we decided last meeting.
Just wanted to make sure that.
Yeah, with 3 months.
Okay.
Not,
Yeah.
yeah,
Good.
exceed 3 months.
Okay. Next thing is board position number 3. We've had some applications, but we've decided to put it off till November. Obviously, we've been slammed with everything with trying to find a manager and legal stuff. So hopefully we will bring the new board member, announce that in the November meeting. And then we move to the public records policy. I do it. It's around here somewhere. There it is. So the district has decided to adopt a public records policy. Obviously, do I have to read all of this?
Nope.
Thank goodness.
It's been put out for public notice, so
Okay.
it's been out there.
It's been out there. All right. And I'll make sure I post it again for everybody who goes, I didn't see that. Basically, we need to vote on this. So I make a motion to adopt resolution number 24-004 as our public records policy.
All second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. So resolution 24-004, Cemetery District now has a public records policy. Yay.
Signature page is on the back of that one. That is the original.
We have to sign it? Okay. And I'll have to scan it.
Today. Oh, you don't need my signature.
Those pins are sitting here.
Yes, I do.
Do you?
Bring extra stuff and I
Was
put
that
it
you?
out there so people
Oh, I'm
use it.
sorry.
Unless your name's Bob.
No, wait. It's my job. It's my job to bring things for the office, it's my assignment.
It is a dull
You do well.
signature, so.
Oh, it is? Wow. We're gonna be broke.
I just figured it was.
I will sign that, or scan that and put that into the
Oh my gosh. I stole it from the bank.
file. Okay.
Don't tell me.
Where am I at?
Tell me shit.
Losing my mind.
Or acquired.
Okay, so the conflict of interest policy. The board has decided to adopt a conflict of interest policy for its board members, and I'll just go ahead and read this one because it's short. Whereas Oregon Revised Statutes Chapter 244 governs conflicts of interest by public officials, and whereas the Crook County Cemetery Improvement District, the district, desires to adopt a formal policy incorporating statutory requirements and providing guidance to the board as to this matter. Now therefore be it resolved that by the Crook County Cemetery Improvement District Board of Directors that, number 1, the attached CCID board member conflict of interest and recusal policy is adopted, that number 2, resolution shall become effective immediately upon its passage. And then we have to read this whole thing?
Nope, that was out last time as well.
Okay, so I make a motion to adopt resolution 24-005.
All second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Sign that. There you are, sir. Okay. Last time we posted or approved the new rules and regulations, which I also posted the Facebook page for public comment. Nobody made any comments on them, so I guess everybody who read them were okay with them. Then
I think that we talked about just figuring out how to publicize those as widely as possible. Get them posted, make sure that folks who are either buying plots or otherwise, have notice of that so that there's no confusion about.
I will get you updated copy for the office, digital and
Okay.
printed ones.
They're the ones from last month, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
So all the extra ones that we had,
Yeah, I gave them to
actually
you.
got like on the wall right next to where customers will sit down. They can pull right there. There's like 20 of them, I think, right now. But,
Perfect. I'll get you the digital file so you can print them if you
okay.
run out.
That's one of those things we probably just want to, I don't know.
It's-
It's hard when somebody's in the grieving process, they're not
Yeah.
going to filter through all that stuff, so,
But if we can ever get a web page,
Yeah.
things that can be readily available if need be.
Definitely.
He can refer it back to that or hand a pamphlet out.
Yeah,
And it's moving forward from here. It's like it's all in presentation, to the people and letting them know and just the relationship, building the relationship, so that if it is something that can't happen, there's a way to present it to them without stepping on toes so much and a time and a place to do it. So, and I'm working towards having that just all the time.
Okay. And on page 6, you redundant on 7 and 9, just so you know if you clean them up.
Okay. Can do. That brings us to the update on the district website and email accounts. I have reached out to several professors at COCC but never heard back. So I'm assuming that they don't have a student who is interested in taking on the job, which means we could reach out to some web designers locally. But how much is the district really looking to spend here?
What does it cost? Do you know?
It depends.
What would be something simple to just get us started? For
We just
county
need-
cemetery district and just the basics, just
Yeah.
get something to clean up and get past this public information bill.
If we went with something that was pre-built, like you just download a template and it's plug and play, it's probably something that I could do on the weekends. It's generally pretty simple.
Okay, is it something maybe we should be hiring done so we have it's not the board doing it,
Right.
It's as an independent, I'm just asking.
I mean, that's entirely up to us, I guess, and how much we want to spend. I mean, I can start reaching out to web developers and getting bids and have them ready for next time if that's something you want me to pursue.
I would like to see that.
Okay, I will do that then.
And we'll keep it basic to start with and we can expound on it. Because it brings back around and it's one of the questions I've got for sure is I want to see, and I need to come in to do it, but I want to see the budget. I want to see where we at, how are we doing to the end of the year, and but I'll come in and do that with you.
Okay. Let's see, that brings us to bylaws development.
so, we talked very briefly last time about putting a set of bylaws in place that would govern the governance. So, I have not had a chance to dig in and bring you anything on that. If you would like me to bring you either a sample of a couple other districts as a starting point, or I could draft something up, but just to keep legal fees down, maybe we start with, some samples of, SDAO's got a template set, but I could also bring you a couple other,
Okay.
just what other districts have put together. You could look at those and decide if that's the kind of thing that you want to pursue.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep, and it does. It was one of the questions I had is, do we have a board charter? I mean, this has been in conception for a long time, or bylaws, or regulations, or even statutes. Do we not have anything in the information there at the office or anything? Is there never been something that governed the board?
Well, there's, so it's special district statute, chapter 198 covers all special districts. And then the cemetery district statutes, which are short,
Yes.
that's the organic act that governs y'all. That is pretty sparse, frankly, in terms of talking about how things work. So some special district statutes are pretty detailed about powers of the board, how they're exercised, that kind of thing. That's not the case here. So
Okay.
I have not seen a set of old bylaws that exist. I don't know.
I
Craig,
think
have
there
you-
is, but they're old.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It's
We
a
can
starting-
start with
it's a
that.
It's a
And I
starting
think-
point.
And that was just mainly on the rules and regulations of
Yeah, they were
placement.
pretty much just the rules and regulations. They weren't
Yeah,
like
it was-
bylaw style.
But, I mean, I haven't had a chance to really dive into any of the old files, but I definitely can when I get a chance
Okay.
to look around and see. I mean, there's so much there that, I mean, if there is something, we'll find it, because they didn't throw it away, that's for sure.
That's good.
That's gonna be one of the first jobs for the administrative assistant, is to clean that up.
Yeah.
All right, well, I don't see an immediate need, so do you want me to just hang fire for a little bit on that one?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, let's see if there is an existing set when you get a chance, Craig.
Yeah, because I know what the Little League board, total different, but our bylaws just kind of evolve every year as stuff that we haven't faced
Yeah.
come up, and then we go, okay, we need to come up with something
And that's-
based off that situation. And
Well, I was curious if there was a starting point, because it just seems strange to me that this board hasn't had some sort of
yeah, it
charter.
is.
I mean, to give direction.
Yeah. Agreed. Okay, that's a
In
good
our
place to
spare
start.
time, can board members help search?
Sure.
I don't know that I have spare time.
Why'd you look at me?
I will try to help this winter if I can.
Yeah.
Yes.
You could definitely, board members could do it.
Okay, good enough.
Awesome.
Before we move to new business, why don't we do a legal report here on pending matters coming out of our executive session?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, there was an executive session held earlier today. One of the items was discussion of pending litigation. There are 4 different matters that either are or could result in litigation. 2 of them are grievances filed with the Oregon, the OGEC, the Oregon Government Ethics Commission. Those grievances are based on complaints that Justin Alderman with Prineville Review had filed out of concerns that public meetings laws were not filed. Our firm was aware of the most recent one of those because he provided it to us at the last board meeting. We promptly responded to Mr. Alderman explaining why the grievance did not have merit, and also provided that response to the OGEC. We were tipped off at that time that there was actually a prior grievance that was filed that we weren't aware of, because it was sent to not the board address for public comments and such, but rather the district's email address that is for business matters. And so it had been received almost a month ago. And so the board has instructed our firm to respond to that grievance notice. We will do so and provide a response to OGEC as well. And hopefully that will be the end of that, because the board is now adhering to public meeting requirements. There's also a pending public records suit filed by Mr. Alderman. That dates back to July. At the time, he sought a temporary restraining order and injunction, forcing the board to adhere to public meetings laws, which it was already doing at that time. The judge denied that request. The complaint, however, is still pending. The board has previously chosen not to respond to that. It was filed against not only the district, but Jamie Wood and Velda Jones in their capacities as individual directors. And so the Oregon law provides that public officials acting in their public capacities are entitled to defense that is provided by district council if the district so chooses. And so I'd like to suggest a motion at this time that that is in fact the policy of this district to indemnify its board members for actions taken in their official capacities.
I would make that motion.
I would second the motion. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
Okay, so.
Will this be a policy that's in place now?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, yeah, just to be clear, the district will indemnify and provide defense to its directors if they are named in a lawsuit based on actions taken in their official capacities. So on that front, Mr. Alderman has served the district and the 2 board members with a 10-day notice of intent to take a default for failure to appear. Our firm has concluded that if a default is taken, there's no harm to the district. There are no legal fees that would be awarded. And because the district is already doing all those things that were requested in the way of relief in that lawsuit, it's moot effectively. And so if a default is entered, the judgment will effectively be meaningless because you're already doing everything that the judgment requested. So, if that is your decision, we should take that decision in open session. So another motion would be appropriate.
Okay, can I make that motion?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
Okay. Finally, our firm has been working to discover old records and otherwise be responsive to public records requests that were filed. One aspect of that public records request, again filed by Mr. Alderman, was something we discussed at last month's meeting. It was a request for a Facebook administrative log, which does not exist as a native document, but instead exists when the user of a Facebook account goes through a certain process to create that log. So at this point, we have a decision to be made as to whether to produce that or whether to debate the merits of whether that is a public record.
I will just make the motion that we allow the access to the Facebook account.
I second that motion. I mean, there's nothing there, so.
And just to, I would suggest specific language on this one, which would be a motion to instruct the administrator of the account, who is board chair, would to go ahead and produce that administrative log.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
And I will withdraw my previous motion.
Okay, that is it for your legal report.
Okay. Item J,
Which one is that? I
the,
didn't update it.
well, you're fired.
No. Oh, yes.
That one.
Okay.
So, do you want to do it? Do you want me to do it?
I'll kick it off, I guess. So item J is a discussion of the paving work that was performed over the summer. And at last month's meeting, Director Bedortha suggested that we conduct an inquiry to determine the background on that and to determine whether the district got what it paid for. And so I think that tees up that issue.
Tease at that issue. So basically, at the May meeting, we voted to approve some paving work. The amount was I believe it was around $24,000. And we approved that. The bid was to be done by High Desert Paving. In July, the paving work that was done was not by High Desert Paving. Were you able to find that gentleman's business card, Sheriff?
I'll look for that.
Okay.
Because you wrote the check.
Correct.
The gentleman that gave us the invoice, there's no business name on it, it's kind of strange. I'm sure it's a legitimate business because Shara looked it up. However, the amount on that was $45,000, 46. The contract that Corey signed with High Desert Paving was in the amount of $40,000. Obviously, that's more than what the board approved at the May meeting. The difference being the depth of the asphalt. The $20,000 bid is for 2 inches of asphalt. The contract that Corey signed is for 4 inches of asphalt. The paving that was done is half the paving that was supposed to be done by High Desert. And it's ranges in depth from 2 to 2.5 inches. And it cost us more than the 4-inch bid from High Desert Paving.
Half as much done.
Yeah, it was about half as much. The $20,000 bid and the other one that on the contract that Corey signed was from, we call it gate post to gate post. It was from the gate post that's out by Main Street or Mackay, however you want to refer to it, back to the gate posts and in front of the shops there, back by the old Pioneer part of the cemetery, the lower part. They were gonna pave all in front of the shops and then, like I said, the road from gate post to gate post.
And that was not done. So,
And that was not done. At the depth that he signed the contract for.
okay, so we got 2 inches basically and half the amount done for a little over twice the amount. And what is our recourse?
That depends on whether there was a contract.
That, I was just gonna ask, do we have
Not-
paperwork to substantiate the start and the finish of
It
this?
sounds
We do
like
not.
there's a screenshot of a payment request. Is that accurate? No, no
That-
actual invoice?
I mean, I have some of the bids up there.
I have some
I have a
paperwork
receipt
right
from
here.
that company that did the work.
Okay.
You do?
Yeah, I have about, I don't know, 10 different documents.
Okay, let's gather all that together.
Okay, I have it all together already, so I should have brought it tonight.
Can you have Shara scan that and
Yeah.
send it out to us? Do
Yeah.
you mind
Yeah.
doing
So-
that? All the information we can from start to finish so
Yeah,
we can
and I'll
get
look
a
to see if I
picture.
have anything else, but I grabbed everything, cause, High Desert, Steven, he came out and, twice. The first time he came out, just once. I spoke to him several times, we played phone tag and then he couldn't get out, but finally we met face to face. And, he drove around and he kind of filled me in on the situations, like, cause he gave him 2 bids and I wasn't able to, or I think I found both bids, but one was the 20,000 from pillar to pillar.
That's this
And
one.
the other one, he informed me that it was like a little over 40,000, and that was the same amount, but up to the shops and all that extra area, where the 20,000 was supposedly just the road from pillar to pillar. And then there's something about the depth, I think. He didn't go into too much detail on that, but he was supposed to drive it and give me another bid as far as, to finish the work and just, I'm trying to make right by the fact that they had a contract to do some work and then it didn't happen, so. But he still hasn't given me that bid, but I've been in email contact with him and he's filled me in on, like, that's, cause I didn't know about that second bid until after we had met, so. It was just kinda,
To resolve the past one, we probably need to gather up all documents that we can
Yeah.
and see how to approach.
well, and they, as a company, they've already said, they're like, well, I mean, he said he drove by, saw that it was done, some of the work, and he's like, I figured we just got it done early than what was on the board. And then I didn't even know until you contacted me, and I was like, oh, well, but trying to make it right. But he said, as far as they're concerned, it's nothing. There's no recourse, as far as I know, that they plan on doing anything. So having the contract, but.
So that's the person that did the job.
No, that's
No.
High Desert.
Okay, so that's the other question I have. Has anybody tried to reach out to the guy that did the job?
No.
Who is the guy that did the job?
It's some valley over in Clack.
He was from Lake Oswego.
Yeah.
So the story that I was told at the time was this company from Lake Oswego was over here doing another job, and that they had leftover asphalt that they wanted to get rid of so that they didn't have to haul it back to Lake Oswego, and that's how we ended up getting paving done when we did.
So I think it would behoove us to reach out to the guy that did the paving and find out his side of the story, because there's another side to what.
Right.
And is it even worth pursuing? And I'm gonna ask you that, because what's done is done. Do we move forward? Is there foul play in the sense that the district got took, and does it need to be resolved because we're responsible for that money?
Right.
So I'm asking you on the legal side, do we let it die? Or is this something that we need to be pursuing?
Sure. So I think there's two components to that question. One is with regard to the company that did the work. So that was of a value that it would have required 3 informal bids for the district to have procured that work in the first place, which I don't believe occurred. So that is an underlying defect in the district's ability to perhaps complain. The more important defect that I see is if there's not enough paperwork to show that there was actually an agreement and that that agreement was broken, then you really have zero basis on which to go back on that company and complain that work was not provided that was paid for.
Yeah.
If there's a contract that specifies what was to be paved and at what depth and for what price that was not adhered to, then you've got a breach of contract issue, then potentially you've got something.
And even though the last manager approved it on his own for half the amount, the contract still is binding over the top of the manager that was there. Does that sort of make sense? I mean, he obviously approved it himself,
Yeah.
and we think we didn't get the job done, but we need to find out from the guy that did the job just what was his expectations and
Right.
Yeah. So, if I were representing that fella, what I would say is your general manager with apparent authority to make the deal, he's the one that told me to go ahead and do it at this price for this amount of paving, that kind of thing. So I think your option to go back against that contractor is probably very limited for all of those reasons.
okay.
The second prong would be, did the former employee do something that was untoward? If he did so in the scope of his official duties and just made a mistake, then there's nothing you can do about that. If there was something nefarious behind it that occurred, that would take a fair amount of investigation, and I'm not sure that you don't just let a sleeping dog lie on that thing. Because frankly, your question is the right one, which is, as stewards of the district's funds, is there recourse there that's going to get you whole again? You got something for it. You might not have gotten the right value for it, but it's that delta between what you got and what you paid that you would then presumably be, fighting an uphill legal battle to say that somebody did something that beyond and outside the scope of their official duties, did something nefarious, whatever it might be. That's a tough proof, only to get to the end of something that might not get you a recovery because the guy doesn't have any money or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate that it appears to have happened in a way that you didn't get what you paid for, perhaps, but I don't think, on balance, you're probably not going to come out on the right end of that one.
Yeah.
Financially.
So then all I'm gonna ask for really is get us the information that's out there to the best of your ability. We'll look at it once more as a board, and we'll use legal counsel and make a decision if it's something we need to move forward for, or if we just put it to bed.
Yep. And then as to the rest of the paving, I think we talked about last time, we need 3 bids, not just the one. So you guys need to just get 3 different outfits out there to give you your estimate on what it's going to take to finish the job.
And again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but before we take a bid, we probably better make sure we have the money.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And we do.
As long as we're not eating into reserves, that's all.
Right.
I'm just funny about that,
And I
sorry.
know there's grants that can be,
That's fine.
you know, out there too, that, so that's what I wanna look into. That's what I wanted to look into in the beginning.
So when you get the bid, maybe at that time you'll look into any grants that are
And I can
available
see
and
if
present
the
to that.
companies might even know some.
Yeah, and then present that
Yeah.
to the board at that
Yeah,
time.
yes, sir.
Crook County Road Department might be interested in that.
Okay.
Might talk to Brad.
Okay, so
That
that,
is- I can't get a bid from the company that was supposed to do it. I
I'm
mean,
just saying.
get out there, yeah, you just won't.
I asked if that was,
tried.
I asked if that was something that we could do, and he indicated yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
So that, yeah, that's another option, is you could do an intergovernmental agreement potentially with the
Awesome.
county and, or the city. and-
Like I said, it's
Yeah.
just an, I don't know.
Yeah.
I threw it out, and he said it was okay.
it's an idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any ideas are great.
And Commissioner Hemrick, you'll keep it on the up and up?
I can't. It seems like all I do is keep things up. But it's not public comment, I should shut up.
Okay, so new business is first thing on our new business agenda is a media policy.
All right, so as you know, you've got an individual who has an electronic media site. There is an option at this point for the district to create an official media policy. The purpose of that is that for executive sessions, the media is entitled to attend almost all of those, with a requirement that the media not report out the contents of that executive session. There are very few exceptions where the media is not allowed to be in the executive session, one of which is if that particular member of the media or their publication has filed suit or is likely to file suit against the body, then that entity or person can be excluded for the purposes of discussing that potential or pending lawsuit with counsel. The rest of the time, the media can be there. The question then is, would this district like to have a media policy that defines who members of the media are? And in particular, the question that many public entities are struggling with at this point is whether electronic media representatives who declare themselves to be members of the media, whether they do or do not fall within the purview of the Oregon Public Meetings statute. So there is, what I've provided you is an excerpt from the Attorney General's Public Meetings Manual talking about this issue of who is a representative of the news media. There's not great advice. The statute is not particularly clear, and the advice from the Attorney General is not particularly clear as to how to draw a bright line. With respect to bloggers or individual internet reporting sites, the advice essentially says that if the individual is associated with an institutional media site such as CNN.com, then that person would be viewed with, actually it's not entirely specific, but I'll just read what it says. An individual who regularly posts for a website maintained by traditional media, i.e. CNN.com, likely would qualify. The implication is that if it's not an institutional media website, then there's less chance that that person would qualify as a representative of the media, in which case you go through the rest of this guidance and look at various factors like, is there a regular reporting schedule, is there a formal business structure, is the person employed, and does that employ others, so it's not just a one-horse operation, for example. So what I would suggest is look at this, since I've just provided it to you today, give it some thought. There are a few jurisdictions around the state who have created electronic media policies. There are quite a few who have not. This is an area that is rife for litigation on both sides. So yes, I would tell you, you're potentially on the bleeding edge of an issue that a lot of people will take an interest in if you decide to take it forward, and there could be a lawsuit if you decide to do this.
We want to be one of the first that steps out.
Yeah, that's right. So the concern, of course, is that members of the institutional media, as it is, are subject to a very strict code of ethics that is typically enforced by the people that own the company, like the shareholders and the big bosses. Whereas if an individual is purporting to be a member of the media and is acting on their own, they're really not answerable to anyone, which raises the question of, will the reporting be ethical, and will the individual adhere to all of the rules and laws that apply. So for example, again, where this really pertains is in executive sessions, and if a board directs a member of the media present in an executive session not to report out on the subject matter of that executive session, the law says that they cannot do so. And so if that individual breaks the law, then that tells you that you might have a problem. I'm not aware of that happening in your situation with any particular member of the media. But it would be, if that concern arises, that would be the reason to really pay close attention to this and potentially consider something.
Okay.
So I'm happy to bring you anything else if you'd like, or you can digest this and we can bring it up again at next month's meeting.
Let's just table it till next month's meeting.
Okay. Can do. Next thing on new business is creating a meeting space so that we have somewhere to have our board meetings. Once school started, COCC didn't have room for us anymore. And we were going out there obviously because they had the technology. We now have our own owl, so we can do that. My idea for creating a cheap, fast, and easy way to create a public meeting space up at the cemetery itself is to get a pre-built storage shed. I know that sounds tacky, but some of them are actually quite nice.
I built them. I built like 2,000 of them for my company, so cheap way.
I just messing around online. The ones like this particular one, that's in Madras right now, and could probably be delivered in a matter of a week or two. Then there's another company, I believe they are out of Burns. They will not only build the unit, but they'll completely finish it out. So all you have to do is hook up power to it and then flip the light switch and it's good to go. It was just something to consider where we could have it potentially up and running before our next meeting.
I will ask this, and you've seen those there. I mean, I like your idea. It would be nice to have something that we could meet at. Cost-wise, right now, I don't know that that's a wise decision until we get into our budgeting. It would be something that's not budgeted. I would also like to explore if it's something Craig could build onto one of the buildings that's up there. Maybe we need to do some improvements anyway on the building that's there. I'd like to just see a cost comparison of something that's
Right.
built on, looks pretty nice, and it's not sort of looks like a temporary building. That's just my
No,
thoughts.
and that's
Yeah.
completely legit. I think, like I said, I think we need our own public meeting space.
We do,
Obviously the office is too small.
yeah.
Then that way we have a place we meet every month. We're not bouncing around
And
from
it's
the
all set up.
library. It's all set up.
Yeah.
Like I said, we have the camera now. So all we would need is, bring one of the laptops to the space, hook up the camera,
Yeah.
and away we go.
Nope, I agree with that, and I think it's worth exploring. So how do we approach it from there, I guess?
I mean, I've given you some idea of what different sheds cost, and I was just playing around with,
Yep.
I picked out ones that looked nice and actually had just a single door. Obviously we don't need a barn door. But, you know.
But there might be some code that we need to look into with the county as far as egress and ingress, as far as one in, one out, or that kind of stuff. I'd like to know.
I believe the first one, the fanciest one, and obviously the most expensive, I believe it actually has 2 doors.
Yep. And I've been thinking about this a little bit also, so I did check with the planning department. There's a good chance we could get them to waive any fees on no matter what we do.
Awesome.
We'd have to talk to a commissioner possibly about waiving the building department fees for something on a special district. So, I mean, there are things out there that we might be able to get some help on. And if we decide we want to pursue it, it's something we'll probably direct one of us maybe to do.
Okay.
So.
Yep, that was where I was gonna go with it. I think you just have to recall that public meetings must be accessible to everyone. So it would have to be fully ADA accessible.
Right.
And then
So-
just, all the.
And there might be some
buildings.
grants out there that would help build something that we need.
Would you have to provide a restroom though? That would be my biggest thing, is would you have to provide a restroom that was ADA because it's a meeting space? That's just something that I'm gonna throw out there. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's.
ADA is a tricky
is,
way,
Very.
So
and that's what I'm worried about.
I guess what we need to find out then is, one, to have a meeting space of our own, what do we have to accommodate the public? And I don't know how to go, I mean, well, I guess we could direct Craig to that, or maybe.
That's what we have.
Possibly, but poor Craig has so much on his plate right now.
Why don't you have a conversation with Randy in the building department? He'll help you.
Okay,
I think that would be a really good say, this is what we're trying to do, and I
okay,
think he would.
so whether it's a shed or.
Yeah,
you know,
I would maybe
permanent.
I would
Okay.
kind of have a conversation with Randy. I think he'd help you.
So would the board be okay if I stopped and talked to Randy
I
at the
have no
building
problem with
department to see what is going to take place for a public meeting space?
Yep.
Okay.
I will task you with that job.
Does it have to be done by the next meeting?
I mean, and in the meantime, I can always make sure the shop's clean. We could get a couple tables up there. I mean, if it's something this
Kind of cold
size.
though. We're coming into the cold
Well,
time of year.
we do have heated out there. now.
Okay.
But-
Just checking. Some
but
shops
the-
don't.
But the office too, I mean, we can, if it was a small meeting, it's a little tight, but it could be doable with moving some stuff
Stuff
out
around.
or, yeah.
Yeah, it just comes down to figuring out what the public accommodation requirements are.
Yep. Public meeting room.
I mean, they're,
I mean, I like the idea of the sheds, only because it could almost, instead of just it being a meeting place, maybe it's for presenting customers, you know, dealing with customers, not in that office.
Yeah,
because
technically, you know, you could set it up
That's
depending
yeah,
on.
have maps or like, you know,
Yeah.
plots, I don't know, like,
It's
I'm
like-
just trying to make it worth
Yeah.
having.
Like
more
the
than
biggest-
just a meeting place.
Yeah, the biggest shed on there, you could actually, just looking at the pictures, and I thought of that, is you could split it in two, use the very front part for like an office for meeting with people, showing them, you know, plots, that kind of thing. And then you could have your conference room in the back.
Yeah.
So Greg, how about if you go with me when I meet with?
Yeah.
Because you're the one that's gonna be directly involved with it, so
Okay.
we can at least get the preliminary done.
Cool.
Okay.
That
So
sounds good.
I'll try to get a hold of you, and then I'll see what schedule for you, and
Yeah,
then.
I'm pretty much there every day, so.
You know Randy,
Yeah,
don't you?
I do.
He's pretty versatile and
Oh,
he's
yeah.
very helpful. Yeah, I think he'd know what you need.
He's been on the ranch
Yeah,
before.
exactly. Very well put, very well put.
Okay, so the next thing we have is, does anybody have any public comments they would like to share with the board? No? All right, is there any
I
other?
have one public comment. You were talking
Okay.
about aging, were you talking about aging around here? Aging as you're getting old, was that the aging you were talking?
No,
Okay, 'cause I
that
was
was
gonna- okay.
the accounts report.
Oh,
that-
okay. I was just gonna
you know.
tell you 26% of the population in Crook County is over 65. That's my public comment, okay?
Oh, I cannot touch that one, can I?
No, you can't. That is from that is OSU fact. I heard that this week and don't ask me why I've retained that.
Okay, does the board members have any other comments? I do not.
Yeah.
No? All right, then I will adjourn this meeting.
Oh,
I like that.
What?
it's,
What did it, when she was talking about
Oh,
aging,
yeah.
I think
I
myself,
was talking about equipment.
No, it's
God.
Everybody break out their calendars.
I was gonna say, the youth, you know, the
let's
youth
see.
are, make up 25%
I am gone
too.
from the
But they're
9th
100% of the future.
through the 17th.
That's what I
And I have an appointment on the 18th. But I could do either the first week of November or the 3rd. So that would be,
Third week of November before Thanksgiving? No, the week before. I would like to go for the third week of November because I got a feeling my son's gonna wanna start shipping.
okay, so that would be the,
weeks, so.
that's actually the week of Thanksgiving. So that's the 19th,
week is-
20th, 21st is Thanksgiving, 22nd is Black Friday.
Do we need no, the third week.
I thought so.
Is
18th to the 22nd.
Oh, maybe the 28th is Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
My calendar's
I
wrong.
think it's the week after.
So the third week of November.
Third week of November.
Would be the 18th to the 22nd.
Yes.
And we normally meet on Thursdays?
Well, we've done Tuesday, we've done Thursday. Do we want to change our meeting dates to Tuesdays or do we want to keep them on Thursdays?
I'm good with whatever.
We
But that's
just-
probably far enough out. If we hit the 19th to the 21st, I'll make work.
Okay. Why don't we just do it the 19th? Do you have a conflict with the 19th?
3:30.
You do.
Otherwise,
Okay, how about the 21st?
I'm clear.
21st is clear, so we will have our meeting on the 21st. What time works for you, Gary?
If we're doing it here, can we do them earlier, like 1? Is that okay with everybody? I mean, I really like it. I don't know if
I'm
you
fine
guys
with it.
do.
Quick question, do bills have to be signed and paid in meeting? Like they're gonna be late
Oh,
if we wait that long, you know what I'm saying? So that's the only question.
Yeah. The board needs to approve the list of bills each month as an oversight
Okay.
exercise.
do we have to both be here? I'm just worried
You
that,
could do it virtually. I mean, you can set up a virtual special meeting just for that purpose. Put them on the screen.
might be noisy in the background.
Do we not have
You
internet
can do it off
access?
the back of the horse.
And if an elk runs by, you're gonna hear gunfire.
How late are the bills? When do they do, the 15th?
Typically, yeah, by the 15th, so.
I hate to do this to you, sure. Can we be late? Can we be 6 days late?
Sure.
Can we let the normal bills know in advance
I
that we're
think the
gonna be
only one
late?
that'll be an issue is the credit card, if anything.
Okay. And usually they give you like 10 days or something.
Well, they send it kind of late too.
They do.
'Cause they just sent it, like,
So you can't pay standard bills like credit cards without approval?
So are you, when you're getting your list of payables,
Mm-hmm.
is the credit card itemized separately? Or how are you guys getting those presented?
So it's just a list of all of the bills that they're also signing the checks for, and the detail is here for them to look at as well.
So the credit card is just one of these line items, is that right?
Exactly.
Okay.
and they broke it down on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I think you've got approval.
Can we make a
Can we pre-approve the?
on, like, just particularly on the credit card? So with realizing that we have a meeting date that needs to be set after the bill's due, can we make a resolution to have the bookkeeper pay the credit card that is time sensitive?
What's your magnitude of charges?
They're very minimal. Typically, it's like, right now they have the monthly Intuit of $30. And sometimes there's like,
Some,
Is that
cemetery
$1,000?
improvement stuff.
what, it's less.
It's less.
Is it
It's
$500?
It's usually less than that. We're talking like 200.
I would think we could do one under 5, is
Yeah,
that correct? I mean,
that's what you would do, is you just pass a motion that says if a credit card bill was under $500, it can get pre-approved.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we allow the bookkeeper to pay the November credit card
I second the motion.
with the limit of 500 or less.
Okay, I second it again. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
And then you can review that bill, of course,
Yep.
after
Yeah.
you send it out.
And hopefully that was the only one, because you only get this one.
Okay.
So
So it
November
sounds
20
like you need to get reset for the second week of the month, correct?
Yes.
November 21st, 1 o'clock. And we're gonna be here at the library again?
Yes, I'll set that up.
And at some point, if you guys want me to start attending virtually, I'm happy to do that, to save a couple hours of time.
Okay.
Just let me know.
Anything coming up in November that you need to be here for? And you know what, until we get this resolved, in case there's things that come
Yeah.
through, I'd rather just keep going.
That's fine. All right, and
Who's
then
arguing
do you
with
want
You
to
said,
target a December date, just to hold the date?
Yeah, we
And
can.
then
What, Crook County Road Department?
I'm-
Yes, right across the street.
Right across the street, yeah.
Right across the street.
Let's see, so the second week of December, you've got the
Brad
9th
Haynes,
through the
okay.
13th.
And he would be who you,
I'm good every afternoon in that.
because he had
Okay.
said that he thought
So,
we could
do
do
we
it.
wanna
One
do-
o'clock too
We
early for
could,
you?
because there's a
Which day do we
lot
wanna
that
do
we
it?
can't
Apparently
go
2
out
o'clock
and
is-
just confuse.
We're gonna tell you
Yeah.
12:30.
Okay.
December, next meeting will be December, you are looking at the week of the 9th to the 13th.
Yes.
Because we actually own half the cemetery.
The 10th to the,
Yeah,
let's go with the
I
12th.
don't know.
Since that's what
The
we have
county owns the
been,
back half
that
of
work
the
for you
city.
guys?
The front half,
Yes.
And
something
are
like
you
that.
good with the,
So I thought maybe that
1
would-
o'clock?
I'm
Yep.
not saying it will.
And we'll try the library again if you can
Pursue,
get it
and I don't
until we
wanna
get
be
this other issue
between you
resolved.
and
Yeah, yeah.
Brad.
Yes, sir.
I'll reach out and talk to him for sure.
It's worth the
Can do.
conversation.
Cause I just
And goes.
want to get it fixed.
It's not like you
I'd
have to
like
go
it.
there.
Yeah, the only
No.
reason I moved it to COCC was because they didn't have the technology for us to
Yeah.
use.
Yeah.
So I will make a
That's why I say,
motion
it's
to
just across the
reclose the meeting.
street, so that's.
Okay, I second that motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Done.
Yeah.
Yay.
I mean, it's,
Run for it.
what they did there was over like
Thank you
in
for all
one
your
day,
service.
one afternoon, which is
thank you,
crazy.
Steve.
It was literally the day.
It's not you and me.